Hello and welcome to another unit-by-unit review here on SkaredCast. Today we're looking at the special character series Lelith Hesperax, leader of the Cult of Strife. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to the next unit-by-unit video. Today we're taking a look at the first of the three special characters in the Drukhari Codex, Lelith Hesperax, who is the succubus, the main succubus of the Cult of Strife, which is a witch cult. So, as always, sit tight, let's talk about who she is in the lore, and then we'll talk about her statistics, combinations, things that you like. Now, this is a very general overview. If you'd like to know more in detail, check the links down below for the other unit-by-unit videos, as well as getting involved with the Patreon community here on SkaredCast, where we talk a lot more in depth about specific strategies. If you'd like to become a Patreon, the links are down at the bottom. Now, the special characters for the Drukhari book are quite entertaining. I really enjoy how they fleshed out a lot of the stuff. Now, I'm a long-time Archon, the fancy Archon, some call me, but there's not as many special characters. There are not as many special characters as there used to be. Now, this is, you know, some people are sad. You know, there's no models for certain ones. Like, I miss the Baron and the Duke and, you know, all these other characters. But three of the most iconic ones are pretty straightforward, pretty standard, and they will add a lot to any army. The models are fantastic, and Lelith Hesperax is no exception. Fantastic sculpt and a pleasure to play in-game. Now, I like talking about things that I physically have tried in-game, so you'll get hands-on experience, not just somebody theory hammering something, but physically telling you what I've found with real game experience. So Lelith Hesperax, the Queen of Knives. She is the undisputed champion of the gladiatorial arenas, most deadly of all her kind. To see such a superb, talented succubus perform firsthand is a dream come true for most Kabbalites. The agonizing beauty of her kills energizes and reinvigorates even the eldest of the Drukhari. Lelith rarely speaks, for she is an artiste, not a politician. She blesses raiding cabals with her presence only in order to search out unusual prey. She loves to match her abilities against the most formidable elites and champions in the galaxy. She has yet to return without blood upon her blades and a new clutch of grisly trophies for her private museums. Lelith does not use combat drugs to enhance her performance. The purest way to enhance the sensory exhilaration of slaughter is by her own hand, and as such, her every strike is unique, an improvement upon the last, so that the dose of agony she is afforded from her victims is ever increased. The harpies of the rival witch cults whisper that Lelith's incredible skill is from an unnatural source, that she has somehow persuaded the homunculi to replace her blood with hyper-adrenaline. That's awesome. Lelith can most frequently be seen fighting with two simple but perfectly weighted knives. Her long legs and bare feet are edged with spurs, the better to tear open a throat with a perfect pirouette kick, and her fingernails have been reinforced and honed to scalpel sharpness. Lelith can kill a dozen lesser warriors in the space of a few seconds, her knives tracing a spiraling path between each fatal slash, before finishing with flourish and poise. After battling and defeating Evrain in the Crucible, Lelith has gone on to join forces with the Reborn leader, committing much of the strength of the Cult of Strife to the war against Slaanesh. The Queen of Knives and her witches, along with allies from the Craftworlds and Harlequin troops, fight alongside the Inari, allowing the succubus to showcase her exquisite blade work against the Chaos Hordes infesting the Imperium Nihilus. Her greatest desire is to locate and capture Lucius the Eternal, the Chaos Lord of the Emperor's Children, famed for his martial prowess and repeated resurrections. Were she to return with Lucius and strip him of Slaanesh's cursed armor, she would face him one-on-one in the Crucible, in what would be the greatest duel Comora has ever seen. That's pretty cool. So Lelith Hesperax, gladiatorial combatant, leader of the Cult of Strife, excellent, unmatched prowess in hand-to-hand combat, and her rules reflect it. Now, it's pretty cool they've updated her lore to kind of go in hand with the Reborn and the Inari, and it's kind of neat that she's now fighting against Slaanesh, because that's essentially the big baddie for all the Eldari. And it's nice to know that she wants to hunt down Lucius. So if you have your buddy that plays Slaanesh and he has Lucius the Eternal, why not organize a duel? So that's a bit of the lore. Now let's go into her specific rules. So Lelith Hesperax is 4 power level. Very, very cheap. She's essentially the same as a regular succubus, but you're getting so much more. She's only 30 points more than your average succubus, so she's 80 points for a very killy character. So let's dive in, shall we? She's 8 movement, which is about the same as any succubus. She has weapon skill and ballistic skill of 2+. She has a strength and toughness of 3, pretty standard for any sort of Eldari model. She has 5 wounds, which is standard for any Drukhari HQ. 4 attacks, doesn't seem like a lot, but we'll get to that in a second. Leadership 8, standard leadership, and a 6+ armor save. She's a single model, armed with 2 penetrating blades and a mane of barbs and hooks. That's right, she fights with her hair. There's hooks in her hair, and she will attack you with her hair. The most entertaining thing is to kill a character with her hair. One of this model can be included in your army, so she's unique, essentially. You can have one Lelith Hesperax. So, what is she armed with? The Penetrating Blade is a melee weapon. They're just melee, strength of user. They're -4 AP, so they'll go through 3+ armor save with no problem. And just 1 damage. If she's equipped with both her Penetrating Blades, she makes an additional attack with them. So she would have 5 attacks. Now, she does have a few options. Oh, and her mane of barbs and hooks is essentially she makes 2 attacks with this weapon, and it's strength user damage 1. That's it. It's just 2 additional attacks. So really, with her 2 penetrating blades, she's got 5 attacks, plus her hair, she has 2 attacks. So she's sitting at 7 attacks with her penetrating blades. Now, she can replace 1 penetrating blade with an impaler. So if you'd like to switch one of the blades and lose an attack, you gain a -1 AP, 2 damage weapon. Can be relatively handy if you know you're going to be fighting characters and things. She can impale them and do additional damage at the cost of less armor-piercing value. So that's a choice you can do. Personally, I like her with the penetrating blades because the -4 AP and the extra attack really comes in handy. And we'll discuss this in a second. Now, she does have a few abilities. Being the Queen of Blades, you know, she has the Power from Pain, basic Dark Eldar Drukhari rule. So on the first turn, she gets a 6+ Feel No Pain. On the second turn, she can re-roll advance and charge rolls. On the third turn, she gets +1 to her weapon skill on her, or +1 to hit. On her fourth turn, she's immune to morale. And on the fifth turn, all enemy units within 6 inches, -1 to their leadership. Sorry. So, she's probably not going to use most of those. The Feel No Pain's good. The reroll charges are good. +1 doesn't really matter. She hits on 2s anyway, and she's a 1 model, so morale is useless, and then -1 AP. So she'll only get benefits like starting turn 1, turn 2, and then not until turn 5, where people suffer modifiers. Although the +1 to hit can help against units that are -1 to hit, because they'll cancel each other out. So she also has a rule called a League Apart. She re-rolls failed hit and wound rolls against characters. So if you're fighting a character, she can re-roll all fail to hit and all fail to wound. Now this is good because she's only strength 3. So usually she'll be wounding on 5s and 6s against most characters. Therefore, it's good that she can re-roll wounds. Brides of Death. In the fight phase, re-roll hits of 1 for friendly Cult of Strife units whilst they're within 6 inches of Lelith Hesperax. So witches, Hellions, Reaver jet bikes, other like raiders, venoms that are all Cult of Strife get to reroll 1s in the fight phase, which can be kind of handy. Makes, especially starting turn 3, where all Dark Eldar get +1 to hit, they're hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, can really come in handy if they're rerolling 1s in close combat as well. Quicksilver Dodge is the next one. She has a 3+ invulnerable save. So she's super fast, super dodgy, and although she's not as tough, a 3+ invulnerable save goes a long way, especially with 5 wounds and a 6+ feel no pain. Unless the enemy gets a lot of attacks on her, she will more than likely survive most damage. Vulnerable to smites and other mortal wounds, but the invulnerable save is pretty handy. Now, this is one of her cool rules. Well, let's go with this one. No escape. It's the same rule every witch has. Any infantry unit that wishes to fall back has to win a roll-off against Lelith Hesperax in order to successfully fall back from combat. So she can tie units of infantry up and force rolls so that it can't fall back, which is really handy. All witches have this rule. It's a fantastic rule to hold people in place. And the last rule I'm going to talk about is Natural Perfection. Now, she doesn't have combat drugs, but Natural Perfection is effectively the exact same as combat drugs. At the start of each battle round, you choose one of the following characteristics, either move, strength, toughness, attacks, or leadership. And the one you choose gets increased by 1. If you pick leadership or movement, they get increased by 2. So she can technically have +2 movement for a turn. She can have +2 leadership for a turn if you need it. But usually you're going to be going for +1 strength, +1 toughness, or +1 attack. So if you go for the +1 attack, she's got 4 penetrating blades, an extra attack that's 6, 7, 8 with her hair. If you go for +1 attack, or she becomes strength 4, or she becomes toughness 4, depending on if you need it to survive, kill something, etc. So I love that you can adjust and adapt Lelith to Lelith or whatever you want to say to the target at hand. Now it is at the start of the battle round, so it's so you have to be careful. You have to understand it's the start of each battle round. So the bottom of the turn 1, or the top of turn 1, sorry, or the top of turn 2, you have to pick, and it's going to affect her for 2 rounds of combat. For 2 whole turns, essentially. Okay, that's really cool. I enjoy that. Now, remember, faction keywords. She is Eldari Drukhari, pre-standard. She's Cult of Strife. Now, Cult of Strife get +1 attack, which means that she has another attack on top of that because of her obsession if she's a part of a Cult of Strife detachment. That means she has 4 attack space, penetrating blades, Cult of Strife is 6, can get 7 with her Natural Perfection, and then 8, 9. She can have up to 9 attacks with her, in general. That's 9 attacks from one model hitting on 2s. If it's against a character, rerolling misses and wounds. If it's against infantry, just rerolling 1s, because she will reroll her 1s. That's -4 AP, so she can cut down regular infantry no problem. She's a character, infantry, succubus, and Lelith Hesperax are keywords. But the thing I want to note is her warlord trait. She has the Cult of Strife warlord trait if she is your warlord, or if you use an Alliance of Agony, you can make a succubus, a homunculus, and an archon a warlord, and they would get their warlord trait. So her warlord trait is the Cult of Strife specific warlord trait, which is Blood Dancer. Every time you roll a 6+ to hit with this Warlord in the fight phase, that hit scores 3 hits instead of 1, which is like Tesla. It's exploding 6s. Starting on turn 3, you get +1 to hit. That means you're getting 3 hits every time you roll a 5 or a 6 in combat to hit. This is incredibly powerful. Remember, she has 9 attacks if she's going for an extra attack and everything. So starting on turn 3, 9 attacks, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s or re-rolling misses. Any roll of a 5 or 6 on turn 1 and 2, are 3 hits. So you don't have to re-roll them, they're just 3 additional hits. So I've gone in with Lelith, and I've done anywhere from 14 to 18 hits just with Lelith Hesperax. So she can go into a unit and wipe them out if she's going well. If you combine it with a Farseer that does Doom or something, you can reroll wounds against like blobs of infantry. She is a little blender. She is nasty, and she's very, very cheap, small, easy to hide, and can quickly get to the fight because she's super fast, rerolling charges on turn 2, etc., etc. So let me know what you think about Lelith Hesperax. Have you used her in one of your games? I know that that I have, and she was a lot of fun. Not only could she cut through infantry, but also could target characters and give them quite a hard time. Being able to reroll those wounds means that even against the mightiest demon prince, she will be doing damage. So guys, let me know down below what you think. Do you like Lelith Hesperax? Do you not like Lelith Hesperax? Would you prefer she had something different? If you agree or disagree, leave a comment down below. A huge shout out to the Patreons who make this possible. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you stay tuned for the exclusive weekly tactical videos for the Patreons in the links down below. After all, I'm Skari, your grateful host, signing off until next time. Skari out. It's an exclusive. We're playing the game.